President Donald Trump has said that the decision on when to end the ongoing war with Iran will be taken jointly with Israeli Prime Minister.
As the world's attention remains fixed on the escalating tensions across the Middle East, a series of deeply unsettling events has quietly begun to unfold right here within the borders of the United States. Along the mist-covered shores of Florida, a legendary deep-sea creature known as the doomsday fish unexpectedly washed onto the sand, leaving locals in a state of absolute disbelief. Because this rare organism almost never leaves the ocean floor unless something is shifting deep within the earth. Not far away in the rugged wilderness of Arizona, hikers recently stumbled upon a sight that defies every law of nature, where bright orange flames are burning intensely beneath solid rock, even as freezing water flows directly over the fire without ever extinguishing it. Perhaps even more chilling is the footage captured in the dense woods of Georgia, where the very forest floor appears to be heaving and falling in a steady rhythm, as if the ground itself has developed lungs and is breathing beneath the heavy timber. Many are starting to wonder if these bizarre occurrences are merely coincidences, or if they are the physical manifestations of ancient warnings and divine signs that were written about in the holy books. We are going to break down these chilling events one by one and look at exactly what the sacred texts say about the times we are living in, so stay with me until the end. Before we dive into these mysteries together, I ask that you take a moment to pause and leave a sincere prayer in the comments section below for peace and guidance in these uncertain days. The morning sun had barely begun to crest over the Florida shoreline when a typical day at the beach took a turn into the surreal, as people strolling along the damp, glistening sand suddenly halted in their tracks, staring in absolute disbelief at a long silver shape shimmering against the tide, which was a massive oarfish, a creature of the abyss that usually dwells thousands of feet below the surface, far from the reach of human eyes or a single ray of light. As the Atlantic waves lapped against the coast, its ribbon-like body twisted slowly in the foam. But the mystery was only beginning, because not long after a second oarfish materialized nearby on the same stretch of sand, which marine experts say is incredibly rare and almost unheard of for two to occur within hours of each other. Local fishermen stood on the pier exchanging silent, heavy looks as old maritime legends began to surface in their minds. Because in many coastal cultures, this enigmatic traveler is known as the messenger of the deep, a harbinger, whose arrival is said to precede massive shifts or disturbances beneath the Earth's crust. While some scientists point to changing currents or underwater pressure, the timing left many onlookers chilled as they couldn't help but recall the ancient warnings that the sea itself would roar and toss in the final days, signaling a world in distress. And if these hidden giants are being pushed from their homes, it could be a sign that something deep beneath us is starting to wake up. If these events make you stop and think, then share your perspective in the comments and stay with us, because the next mystery rising from the land is even more haunting, as a different kind of enigma was unfolding in the rugged hills of Arizona, where the shadows didn't come from the water, but from the burning heart of the earth itself. Hikers on a remote trail discovered a stream of icy mountain water cascading over a massive boulder, but beneath the rock, orange flames danced inside a hollow crevice, and the fire refused to go out despite the constant flow of water. Witnesses watched the flames pulse and flicker through the rushing stream, as if being fed by an invisible fuel source deep underground. And just hours before, a tremor had rattled the nearby town, shaking windows and shifting loose stone, which made the atmosphere feel strangely thick and almost sacred in its stillness. Locals began calling it the eternal spark of the mountain. And while geologists suggest that seismic shifts can release pockets of natural gas, the site felt like a living echo of the burning bush, that was never consumed, which was a moment designed to make a traveler stop and listen. Ancient scrolls warn that in times of great change the earth will be shaken, and the elements will testify to things unseen. So when fire rises through water and refuses to die, one has to wonder if creation is trying to grab our attention. But the earth wasn't just burning, because in the dense forests of Oregon, explorers captured footage of the forest floor slowly rising and falling, mimicking the steady rhythm of a giant chest, as the soil leaves and ancient roots lifted several inches into the air before sinking back down in a haunting cadence. There was no sound of a landslide or the roar of an explosion, just the silent, rhythmic heaving of the woods as the trees above swayed, as if the very ground beneath them had become a living, breathing lung. As the video reached millions, the connections became impossible to ignore, from the deep-sea fish on the coast to the fire in the hills. And now the breathing earth, it seemed, as though the planet itself was moaning in a collective struggle, much like the scriptures describe a world longing for renewal. Is this just nature reacting to hidden pressures, or a quiet warning we are meant to hear as the mysteries only deepened? When a massive stone tablet was found partially buried in the shifting dunes of the Nevada desert. This 100-pound slab, etched with sharp, intentional symbols, sparked an immediate firestorm of debate, because archaeologists noted that the carvings were far too precise to be natural cracks, and above the text sat a map of the stars depicting a celestial alignment from a forgotten age. Some scholars noted that these symbols bear a striking resemblance to the earliest languages used in sacred texts, and how such a relic could exist in the American desert is a question that remains unanswered. For many, it brought to mind the promise that if the truth were ever silenced, the very stones would cry out to tell the story. And in a world of increasing chaos, it seems the earth is finally revealing its secrets. But even the mountains aren't safe from the shift, because in the dense wilderness of North Carolina, a massive hillside recently gave way, sending thousands of tons of earth crashing through the trees after a period of heavy rain. It wasn't just the slide that bothered the residents, but the sound, as they described a deep, low rumbling that felt like thunder trapped inside the mountain long before the first stone moved. When the dust settled, a massive scar hundreds of feet wide was left across the landscape, turning a lush forest into a barren wasteland. And it felt as if the mountains themselves were trembling, reminding us that nothing built on a shifting foundation can truly stand the test of time. As these events mount, the message becomes clearer. And finally, the sky itself joined the chorus of signs in the plains of Oklahoma, where a powerful storm left the residents speechless, when the receding waters revealed something terrifying. The puddles and runoff lining the streets and rooftops had turned a deep, unsettling crimson, as the rainwater started to pool on streets and parked cars, transforming the wet pavement into an unsettling red reflection beneath the dark storm clouds. As lightning flashed, the red water shimmered like a reflection of a darkening sky. And while some suggest dust from distant lands mixed with the rain, the intensity of the color was unlike anything the locals had seen in a lifetime. It looked as though the heavens were weeping, and from the depths of the ocean to the peaks of the mountains, and the very rain in the streets, the world is speaking a language of urgency. The question is, are we ready to listen to what the earth is trying to say as these patterns continue to emerge across the landscape with increasing frequency and intensity? Each event on its own might be dismissed as a fluke of nature, but when you step back and see the silver scales of the deep-sea creatures, the unquenchable fire in the desert hills, the breathing pulse of the forest floor, the ancient whispers of the stone tablets, the crumbling of the eternal mountains, and the blood-red rain falling from the heavens, a larger picture begins to form. We are living in a time where the boundary between the natural and the supernatural seems to be thinning, and the planet itself appears to be reacting to an invisible clock that is ticking toward a significant moment in history. Scientists work tirelessly to provide logical explanations citing tectonic shifts, atmospheric anomalies, and biological migrations. Yet the feeling on the ground remains one of profound unease among those who witness these wonders firsthand. This is not just a collection of random coincidences, but a symphony of signs that have been foretold for generations. And whether you believe in ancient prophecy or modern geology, the reality of these changes cannot be ignored. The shifting sands of Nevada and the rising tides of Florida are telling us that the world we thought we knew is transforming right before our eyes. And the air feels charged with a weight that is difficult to describe but impossible to ignore. As you look out at the horizon today, ask yourself if you are seeing the world as it has always been, or if you are catching a glimpse of a new and uncertain era that is dawning upon us. The earth is no longer silent, and its voice is echoing through the canyons, the forests, and the deep blue sea, calling out to anyone who is willing to pause and observe. These occurrences are a reminder that we are part of something much larger and much more mysterious than our daily routines often allow us to acknowledge. And as we continue to track these unfolding events, we invite you to keep your eyes open and your hearts ready for whatever might come next. Every storm that passes and every stone that turns over could be the next chapter in this unfolding story, and the evidence is mounting in every corner of the country. From the eastern shores to the western mountains, the signs are there for those with the eyes to see and the wisdom to understand that the earth is reaching a turning point. Stay vigilant and stay curious, because the planet is giving us a front row seat to a spectacle that hasn't been seen in thousands of years. And as we move forward together, we will continue to document every shadow and every light that emerges from the unknown. The time for ignoring the unusual has passed, and the time for seeking the truth has arrived as we stand on the threshold of a world that is loudly declaring its presence through the very elements that sustain us. It is as if the ancient foundations are being tested, and the results are appearing in the most unexpected places, from the quiet mountain streams to the busiest city streets. We must look closer at the details, because the silver glint of a deep-sea fish or the heat of a mysterious flame are not just visual anomalies, but could be the keys to understanding our collective future. The weight of these discoveries is heavy, but the knowledge they provide is essential for those who wish to navigate the coming storms with clarity and strength. As we witness the forest floor rise like a living lung, we are reminded of our deep connection to the land. And as the crimson rain falls from above, we are prompted to look toward the heavens for answers that the earth alone cannot provide. These moments of revelation are precious and rare, and they serve as a powerful testament to the complexity and the wonder of the natural world in which we live. So as you go about your day, keep these images in your mind, and remember that the story of our world is still being written in real time through the very events we have discussed here today. The ancient words are finding new life in our modern reality, and the physical world is reflecting a spiritual tension that has been building for centuries. This is our moment to witness the unfolding of a grand design and to respond with the attention and respect that such profound events deserve. Every landslide in the Appalachian Range and every strange light in the desert sky is a piece of a puzzle that we are all trying to solve together. The journey is long and the path is often obscured by the shadows of uncertainty, but the signs are clear, and the direction is being pointed out to us by the very world we inhabit. We are not just spectators in this drama, but active participants who must choose how to interpret and react to the shifting landscape around us. The earth is crying out, and its message is one of transformation and renewal, calling us to awaken from our slumber and recognize the magnitude of the times in which we live. Let the silver fish and the unyielding fire be your guides as you seek to understand the deeper meanings hidden within the chaos. And let the breathing woods and the etched stones remind you that there is a purpose and a plan behind every seemingly random occurrence. We are standing at the edge of something immense, and the view is as terrifying as it is beautiful, offering us a glimpse into the heart of creation itself. The story continues, and as we follow the trail of signs, we will uncover the truth that has been waiting for us since the beginning of time. This is the reality of our changing world, and the evidence is all around us, waiting to be acknowledged and understood by those who have the courage to look beyond the surface. Stay with us as we dive deeper into these mysteries and explore the connections that bind us all to the earth and the heavens above. The next chapter is just beginning, and the signs are only getting stronger as we move into the unknown future together. One of the most striking indicators that foreshadowed monumental shifts in the ancient world was the sudden reddening of the waters as described in the early chapters of Exodus, when the river itself turned to a deep crimson. Even today, ancient prophetic texts like Joel warn of a season where wonders will manifest in the heavens and on the ground, a time marked by blood, fire, and rising columns of smoke that signal a deep transition. Many folks across the country found these events to be extremely significant as they watched a series of strange storms move over their towns, following the bizarre indications that have appeared recently, such as creatures emerging from the lightless depths of the water, fire burning beneath solid stone, shifting mountains, and the rhythmic movement of the ground itself, where even the rain falling from the sky has taken on an eerie hue. As a result, while people watch these events unfold, a silent question has started to circulate when crimson rain begins to pour from the sky, asking if nature itself is reiterating old cautions from a time long forgotten. If this story causes you to pause and think about the world around us, we want to hear your perspective in the comments below, and stay tuned as we dive deeper into the indicators emerging all around us right now. In the American Southwest, a river that was used for generations to power entire communities and carve through massive canyons is currently contracting at a startling rate as the Rio Grande has decreased so sharply in several stretches through New Mexico that it is now possible to cross on foot where the water was formerly deep enough for heavy boats. Near the Elephant Butte Reservoir and the surrounding desert borders, what were once strong, life-giving currents are now just small streams meandering across a fractured and parched desert. Terrain, as something unpleasant and long buried, has been revealed by the water's retreat. Under the harsh desert sun, long-buried riverbanks, dry mud plains, and deep sediment layers that had been hidden for generations are now completely visible to the naked eye, while recent satellite data shows the region has lost a staggering 60% of its surface water since the late 20th century, with scientists claiming that this drop has accelerated recently. Longtime locals and fishermen claim that the area no longer resembles the river they grew up around, as locations where families used to launch boats for summer trips are now deserted and covered in layers of wind-blown dust. The scene was characterized as deeply unsettling by a local resident standing close to an abandoned boat ramp, because once a thunderous river is now reduced to sporadic channels that struggle to push through the bare earth despite long-term drought, significant water diversion, and climate pressure being mentioned by experts. However, the magnitude and speed of the change are quite distressing to many who are witnessing the river vanish in real time, as some onlookers have started drawing parallels between this event and the ancient accounts where the Jordan River ceased to flow, allowing people to cross on dry land as seen in the book of Joshua. There is a haunting warning in the words of Isaiah that rivers may dry up as the land enters a season of great trial, and the moment feels symbolic to those who are witnessing the Rio Grande's change, as though the land itself is disclosing hidden secrets during a period of increasing global turmoil. It is so challenging to disregard the question that is circulating around the area, asking if we are simply experiencing a prolonged drought, or if the land itself could be issuing a warning to those who dwell upon it. The next sign may disclose something much more potent. So if this makes you reflect on the times we live in, Please share your opinions and stay with us as we move further into the mystery. Deep in the heart of Georgia, a powerful storm recently swept through the region, but what locals witnessed as soon as the rain started to fall swiftly transformed into a terrifying event, as people saw something quite uncomfortable when water gathered on rooftops, roadways, and parked cars. Puddles became dark red reflections beneath the storm clouds as the precipitation spread across the asphalt, giving it an odd crimson hue that caused residents' videos to rapidly go viral on the internet, while the scene appeared even more unsettling during lightning strikes. According to a number of witnesses, it resembled diluted blood flowing through the city's streets, and even though the storm was already rather strong with heavy winds and thunder rocking the area, many individuals were struck speechless by the red rain. Unaware of what they were seeing, meteorologists subsequently clarified that dust particles from far-off storms could occasionally combine with rainfall to produce strange hues. But a lot of locals claimed that the red hue was much more intense than anything they had ever seen in their lives. Several long-standing residents said they had lived in the region for decades without ever witnessing rainwater turning scarlet, and local communities began talking about the incident after footage went viral on social media, as some started seeing parallels between the incident and old accounts of Egypt being dyed crimson in the days of antiquity, followed by a series of spectacular events. Many find the odd storm over Georgia to be deeply symbolic, especially since unusual events have already surfaced across the nation, such as rivers revealing dry land, fire emerging from rock, creatures rising from the deep sea, and the ground shifting beneath forests. Even the rain that was falling from the sky now had an eerie red hue, and among those who saw the storm, a silent question keeps circulating, asking if nature itself could be reiterating old cautions when crimson rain pours from the sky. If this moment caused you to stop and think, please leave a comment with your views and follow along as we continue to decipher the significance of these indicators. A string of bizarre and unnerving incidents has emerged practically one after another in various sections of the United States as the doomsday fish, a rare deep-sea organism, unexpectedly emerged from the ocean's depths around the Florida coast, while in Tennessee it was observed that flames were burning inside rocks even as water was flowing over them. The ground itself appeared to rise and fall in the northern woodlands of Michigan, giving the impression that the earth was breathing, and the rain in Georgia had an unsettling scarlet hue, while sections of a once powerful river were exposed in the high deserts of New Mexico. Each of these occurrences could have a scientific explanation on its own, as deep-sea creatures may be forced toward the surface by shifting ocean currents, or underground gases can catch fire beneath rock formations, while rain can change color due to dust carried by storm systems, and rivers may shrink during a drought. Such events are frequently studied by geologists and meteorologists, many of whom take great care to comprehend how nature responds to stress. But it's not a single incident that unnerves many observers, because the pattern is what it is. In a comparatively short amount of time, these moments have emerged on land, in the sea, and in the sky, as people who live in quite different places are seeing strange sights that make them wonder the same things. These kinds of situations start to feel less like isolated occurrences and more like fragments of a much bigger image when they happen in tandem, while the timing heightens the uneasiness as tension and uncertainty are already on the rise across the world. The intensity of international conflicts has increased, and there is strain on economic systems, with the unpredictability of weather patterns increasing globally as communities attempt to comprehend what the future may bring. People automatically start looking for significance in situations like this, because unusual natural occurrences have frequently coincided with significant historical turning moments in the past. During times of turmoil, unusual skies, shifting land, and unanticipated environmental changes are described in ancient chronicles from numerous civilizations, where those who experienced those events were profoundly affected regardless of whether they were just natural or understood metaphorically. Additionally, the ancient scripts describe seasons in which creation appears to respond to more profound realities that have an impact on humans, as seen in the Gospel of Luke, which mentions a time when the earth will be distressed by the roaring of the sea and the waves while signs appear in the heavens. These chapters do not present these moments simply as random events, but rather imply that when human cultures are under stress and confusion, changes in the natural world may take place as a reflection of that internal state. Romans 8:22 is another chapter that makes a strong and symbolic statement about creation, stating that the entire creation has been moaning in unison, much like during childbirth, as the natural universe is compared to a biological system under stress and in need of repair. When strange events occur simultaneously in many regions of the world, many interpret passages like these in unexpected ways, but this does not imply that there is a supernatural explanation for every odd incident, since the planet is always changing and shifting. However, people naturally start to ask more in-depth questions as patterns start to emerge over rivers, mountains, forests, oceans, and skies, asking why these moments appear to come together when the world is unstable. Why do they appear in regions that are already under duress from drought, storms, or environmental change? And why do so many of them conjure up pictures that mimic descriptions from ancient writings? These inquiries are gradually becoming more widespread for some, while these occurrences serve only as a reminder of how strong and erratic nature can be. But others think they might have a more profound symbolic meaning regarding the course of humanity. Whatever one's interpretation, one thing is certain: that these kinds of moments draw attention because they contradict the widespread notion that the world is entirely steady and predictable. People are reminded that human civilization resides inside a much bigger system, as the sea discloses species from its deepest strata. The earth changes beneath trees, mountains crumble, and rivers retreat, while the earth has always been vibrant, strong, and occasionally erratic. Furthermore, the natural world can serve as a potent mirror reflecting the state of the world itself during times when numerous systems seem to be under stress simultaneously. And whether or not every single incident can be described scientifically may not be the most crucial topic. Whether or not people are taking notice of the larger trend is the fundamental question, because when land, sea, and sky all seem to change at once, it inspires people to pause and think on the time they are living in. Are these occurrences just organic cycles taking place in a complicated world? Or might they serve as a reminder that human civilizations need to maintain their humility, awareness, and readiness for the unforeseen? Regardless of the solution, the convergence of indications in many regions of the world has already spurred an international dialogue that results in a subdued yet impactful query asking if we will pay attention to what creation might be communicating. Moments of warning frequently precede significant historical turning points in ancient texts, as Scripture consistently demonstrates that significant change rarely occurs without first sending out signs that encourage people to think things through and turn back to what is good. These alerts aren't always clear or loud, and can occasionally be subtly revealed through natural occurrences or instances that make people stop and reflect, just as Noah was given a long season to prepare and warn others of the impending changes. The message was not concealed, and for a whole generation it was clearly visible. However, since everyday life went on as usual, many people chose to ignore it. Although there was a warning, it was not taken seriously. The pattern is persistent across history, as consequences are preceded by warnings. While the globe seems to be at a difficult crossroads right now, with technological capabilities of human civilization advancing to levels that were unimaginable to earlier generations, global tensions are still rising at the same time, and societies become increasingly divided as there is strain on economic systems, with weather patterns becoming more violent and unpredictable, causing ecosystems to exhibit indications of strain. In light of this, the public is frequently drawn to strange natural occurrences, as people are reminded of things that are easily forgotten by strange phenomena like the appearance of deep-sea creatures, land shifts, and fires rising from beneath rocks. It reminds us that the world is not entirely under human control, as the forces governing the natural world have always been much greater than those governing human institutions. Moments like these remind many of the words found in Chronicles, where a promise is made that if people humble themselves and seek a better path, the land itself can be healed, implying that humility and introspection are the first steps toward repair. There is a call in the text to awaken from slumber, urging us to pay closer attention to the times we live in, where earthquakes, storms, and other odd natural disasters might not be the biggest threat, but rather apathy. History demonstrates that societies frequently ignore warning indicators until change becomes inevitable, because they are so preoccupied with everyday diversions, political strife, or financial strain that they neglect to stop and consider the more profound path they are on. For this reason, the concept of a watchman is mentioned in many traditions as someone who remains awake and vigilant, monitoring their surroundings and alerting others to what is coming. A watchman's job is not to incite fear, but rather to raise consciousness. And therefore, whether or not every odd occurrence in nature has a deeper explanation may not be the most significant subject of our day. Researchers can investigate and comprehend the scientific reasons of many phenomena, but the convergence of these signs should push us to look at our own hearts and reevaluate our direction. If these strange occurrences are indeed a mirror reflecting our own internal unrest, then the solution lies not just in studying the earth, but in transforming how we live upon it and asking if we are ready for the shifts taking place. The world is speaking in a language of elements, using fire, water, and earth to capture our focus. So will we continue to walk blindly, or will we finally open our eyes to the reality unfolding all around us? These signs are not meant to be ignored, but are invitations to seek truth, to find peace amidst the chaos, and to prepare for a future that may look very different from our past as we move forward, staying awake and watching the horizon with clarity. The story of our world is still being written, and every one of these events is a word on the page, so let us make sure we are reading them correctly, because the time for indifference has passed and the time for awareness has arrived. Stand firm, stay alert, and keep searching for the meaning behind the wonders of our age, as we witness the earth revealing things long hidden and the sky reflecting the weight of the times. Every drop of red rain and every parched riverbed tells a story of a planet in transition and a humanity standing at the edge of a new era. We must choose to listen to the whispers of the earth and the roars of the sea, for they are the guides that will lead us through the coming storms and into the light of a new understanding. The journey is just beginning, and the signs are all around us, waiting for those who are brave enough to look and wise enough to understand. The situation unfolding across the American landscape is nothing short of a modern-day reckoning, as nature seems to have declared war on the grid. In Washington state, the heavens have opened with a relentless fury, turning once quiet suburban streets into surging rapids that swallow vehicles whole and invade homes in a heartbeat, while the saturated earth gives way in massive landslides that bury critical mountain passes and sever the lifelines of entire communities. But the water is only half the battle, because a brutal Arctic shadow has stretched its frozen fingers deep into the heart of the country, paralyzing cities that were never built for this kind of crystalline malice and snapping power lines like dry twigs. Even the rugged expanse of the far north is buckling under the sheer weight of never-ending snow, with roofs groaning and collapsing as entire towns find themselves cut off from the rest of the world in a whiteout silence. Beneath the ice and the flood, the very foundation of the land is trembling, as dormant fault lines twitch and shudder in a series of unsettling earthquakes that make it feel as though the earth itself is trying to shed its skin. This isn't just a collection of random weather events or a string of bad luck. It is a synchronized assault from every direction, leading many to wonder if we are witnessing a simple atmospheric anomaly or a dark omen of things to come. You need to stay with me through this entire report, because as we peel back the layers of this crisis, you'll see why people are calling this the most catastrophic environmental failure in the history of the United States. A monstrous blast of polar air has descended from the Canadian wilderness, anchoring itself over the states with a stubbornness that has left veteran meteorologists visibly shaken. It isn't just the arrival of winter that has everyone on edge, but the fact that the cold refuses to retreat, turning roads into skating rinks and freezing the nation's infrastructure into a brittle, motionless sculpture. In cities like Seattle, the damage has taken on a hauntingly symbolic weight, where massive evergreen trees that have stood for generations are snapping under the weight of the ice, proving that even the strongest pillars of our environment can break in an instant. With nearly the entire region plunged into a freezing darkness as the power grid fails, the silence of the blackout is only broken by the sound of more ice-laden branches crashing down. Even when the snow finally pauses, the freezing air remains stagnant, as if waiting for the next wave of Arctic pressure to roll in and finish what it started, leaving millions to huddle in the dark and wonder when, or if, the sun will ever bring warmth again. If you want to stay ahead of these rapidly shifting global events and understand the forces shaping our world, make sure you are following along and have notifications turned on. Because this story is far from over and the next chapter is already beginning to unfold. In the heart of the American South, across the sprawling concrete of cities like Birmingham, Charlotte, and Savannah, a frozen silence has taken hold that these regions simply weren't built to endure. Temperatures have plummeted and stayed beneath the freezing mark for a stretch of time that has defied every modern record, turning ordinary residual water into a treacherous, invisible glass that catches drivers and pedestrians completely off guard. Even in the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, through the streets of Indianapolis and Columbus, the sheer volume of snow has buried entire neighborhoods, while wind chills have reached a level that is no longer just uncomfortable, it is potentially lethal. This isn't just a passing cold snap. It's an insistent, heavy, and gripping weight that refuses to lift. And while meteorologists can talk to us about jet streams and polar displacements, the sheer scale of this feels like a deep, structural warning from the universe itself. Ancient wisdom has always suggested that nature is never truly chaotic, but rather a system under a perfect, albeit terrifying, command that demands humanity stop and listen when the order of the world starts to buckle. You need to stay with me as we dive deeper into this, because what is happening beneath the surface might explain why this season is pushing our infrastructure to its absolute limit. While the skies remained frozen, a different kind of instability began to groan deep beneath the Earth's crust, and on a morning that started like any other, a powerful 4.7 magnitude earthquake ripped through the area near Boise, Idaho, sending a sudden, violent jolt through the region that had windows rattling and buildings swaying without a second of warning. It wasn't just the structural damage that broke people's confidence. It was the sudden realization that the ground they walked on was no longer a silent partner. This tremor struck near major fault systems that scientists have warned are ticking time bombs of untapped energy. And although this specific shake didn't release all that pressure, it served as a haunting reminder of what is waiting in the dark. Hundreds of miles away, a low, guttural rumbling was heard near the volcanic fields of Arizona, where the delicate local systems began to show subtle geothermal shifts and ground fissures, reacting to a global surge in seismic activity that is currently stretching across the globe. It's as if the world is redistributing its weight, signaling and modifying its pressure before a much larger release, proving that when the Earth speaks, it is a revelation rather than a random accident. The disruption didn't stop at the mountains, moving further west where the sea itself began to behave in ways that defied every known law of the tides. Along the rugged Oregon coastline, sensors began picking up an inexplicable rise in sea levels, where calm bays suddenly rushed inland with a violent energy that had no storm, no landslide, and no earthquake to trigger it. Massive ice formations in the northern waters were seen flipping over as their submerged sections surged upward, creating displacement waves that battered the shore, while inland ground that had been stable for centuries began to split apart as if connected by a single hidden pressure point. Satellite imagery caught brief, mysterious bulges on the ocean's surface that vanished as quickly as they appeared, leaving researchers baffled by a synchronized shift across land, and see that no single storm could ever account for. In historical texts, the sea represents a force held back by a higher authority, and when those boundaries start to loosen, it indicates an exposure of the systems we usually rely on. This wasn't a localized disaster. It was a declaration that the hidden stresses beneath the continental shelf are starting to move, and we are just beginning to see the effects of that redistribution. As the North buckled, a much quieter but equally chilling transformation was unfolding along the Washington state coastline, where the shore didn't collapse or erode in a typical way, but instead seemed to simply retreat, as if the land itself were yielding to the ocean in a soft, steady surrender. Low-lying coastal flats that usually drain in days remained submerged for weeks, and native plants that had survived decades of Pacific storms began to wither and die, as if the very salt of the earth had shifted beyond what they could tolerate. There were no violent waves or dramatic failures, just a silent, steady subsidence where beaches that had reliably reformed for generations simply failed to return, exposing limits that had long been tested but never crossed. When the division between land and sea becomes soft rather than shattered, it suggests a profound change happening behind the scenes, a testing of boundaries that often happens in total silence. We have to ask what unknown conditions are developing when the land starts to fade without violence, and how much more can be tested before the entire system breaks. But perhaps the most frightening manifestation of this hidden pressure happened beneath the streets of Chicago. Water did not fall from the clouds. It emerged from the depths, filling transit tunnels, stairwells, and underground corridors as if the city's ancient, buried geography were suddenly coming back to life. Engineers were stunned to find that pump systems designed to push water out were facing reverse pressures they were never built to handle, as groundwater surged upward through the concrete. This wasn't a failure of engineering, but a bypass of it, a phenomenon where water moved around the safeguards, rising wherever the resistance was weakest. It was as if the great deep was breaking through the steel and glass of modernity, reminding us that even the most advanced planning has its limits. When the deep responds, it is never by accident. It is a purposeful reassertion of forces we thought we had mastered. This matters because our cities are built on layers of confidence and containment, but when the water ignores those boundaries, it exposes just how fragile our grip on the world truly is. And then, in a final, baffling twist, a major reservoir in Arizona rose a staggering 23 feet in less than 4 hours in the middle of the night. No rain, no dam release, just billions of gallons of water surging upward in the darkness. As the shoreline shifted 60 feet inland by dawn, drowning everything in its path, it became clear that the restraint has been lifted, and the next signs will reveal just how close these unseen systems are to their absolute breaking point. The narrative of stability that we have written for ourselves, is being erased page by page by an environment that no longer follows the script. In the high deserts of New Mexico, a series of strange atmospheric lights have been reported hovering over power stations just as the grids begin to fluctuate, suggesting that the instability isn't just geological or meteorological, but perhaps energetic on a scale we haven't yet measured. Local residents in small towns across the Southwest describe a hum that precedes the flickering of lights, a low-frequency vibration that matches the seismic signatures recently recorded in Idaho. We are witnessing a convergence where every element, air, earth, fire, and water, is acting in concert to challenge the very foundation of modern civilization. The sheer scale of the Arctic air mass, which has now settled over the Gulf Coast states, is turning tropical landscapes into frozen wastelands, snapping exotic flora and freezing internal plumbing in homes that have no insulation against such brutality. This isn't just about the cold. It's about the psychological toll of realizing that our safety nets are made of thin wire. When the power goes out in a city like Houston during a freeze, the silence that follows is heavy with the weight of historical warnings that we chose to ignore. The ancient scrolls spoke of a time when the heavens would be shaken and the foundations of the earth would tremble, not as an act of cruelty, but as a necessary recalibration of a world that has grown too arrogant in its own technology. As we look at the cracked permafrost in the north and the rising tides in the west, we see a planet that is shedding its old skin to prepare for something new. The question for us is no longer if these events are connected, but how we are supposed to endure the transition. Engineers are working around the clock in places like New York and Chicago to reinforce seawalls and subway vents. But how do you reinforce against a force that bypasses the walls entirely? How do you plan for a flood that comes from the floor instead of the ceiling? The data coming in from coastal sensors in Alaska and Washington indicates that the crust itself is shifting slightly, a tectonic tilt that could explain why the sea level is rising without a storm surge. If the very plate we live on is adjusting its angle, every map we've ever drawn becomes obsolete. This is the definition of a paradigm shift. We see it in the eyes of the people fleeing the tremors in Salt Lake City and the farmers in the Midwest watching their barns collapse under the weight of unprecedented snow. The word unprecedented has lost its meaning because everything we see now is a first. This is a journey into the unknown, a journey where the only compass we have is our ability to stay alert and adapt to a reality that changes by the hour. Stay with me, because as the sun sets over a frozen and trembling America, the lights that are flickering out might be the only way we finally see the stars and realize where we truly stand in the grand design of the cosmos. The resilience of the human spirit is being tested alongside the steel of our skyscrapers. And as the ice hardens and the ground groans, the next chapter of this saga is already being written in the frost on our windows and the cracks in our streets. We must look closer at the details. The way the birds have stopped singing in the forests of Oregon, or the way the static electricity in the air over the Great Lakes has become so intense that it's disrupting radio communications. These are the whispers before the shout. The atmosphere is charged with a tension that feels like a bowstring drawn too tight, waiting for the moment of release that will redefine our understanding of life on this planet. Every sensor, every satellite, and every survivor tells a part of the story. But the full picture is something much larger and more profound than any one of us can grasp alone. It is a story of a world in labor, a planet undergoing a transformation that is as beautiful as it is terrifying. As we watch the water rise in Arizona and the snow fall in Alabama, we are witnessing the birth of a new era. One where the rules of the past no longer apply and the future is a blank slate waiting to be written by those who are brave enough to face the storm. Make sure you are subscribed and have your notifications on, because as these events accelerate, I will be here to guide you through the chaos and help you find the meaning behind the madness. This is our world, and it is changing, Stay tuned to find out what happens when the limits are finally crossed. The eternal light of peace and protection must descend upon every corner of our world during these uncertain times, and wrap its warmth around every family seeking refuge from the storms of life. We stand together in this moment to call for a divine shield of safety over every home, from the smallest mountain villages to the most crowded coastal cities, asking that no door be left unguarded and no heart be left heavy with fear. As the world faces shifts in the earth and the sky, we ask for a steady foundation for those living in the path of natural forces, that the mountains remain firm and the waters stay within their bounds to spare the innocent and the vulnerable. We pray for the children who look to the horizon with wonder, that they may find a world that is kind and stable, and for the elders whose wisdom is the anchor of our societies, that they may rest in the assurance that their loved ones are secure. Let there be a collective strength that rises to meet every challenge, turning chaos into order and anxiety into a profound sense of calm that surpasses all understanding. We extend this plea for protection to those traveling across vast oceans and high mountain passes, that their journeys be swift and their arrivals joyful. For the families separated by distance or circumstance, we ask for a bridge of connection that keeps their spirits united until they can embrace once more. May the hands that work the soil and the minds that build our future be guided by a spirit of harmony, ensuring that resources are shared and that no person is left to face the shadows alone. In every language and in every breath, let the message of safety resonate, creating an invisible canopy of grace that filters out the darkness and lets only the light of hope through. We look toward the future with a firm belief that resilience is our birthright, and that by standing watch for one another, we create a sanctuary that no global event can diminish. Let every father, mother, brother, and sister feel a renewed sense of courage as they wake each day, knowing they are part of a global family that is held in the highest care. May the air we breathe be filled with the essence of tranquility, and the ground we walk upon be blessed with the footprint of peace. We ask for a special watch over those who are currently facing the elements, providing them with warmth in the cold and shade in the heat, and a clear path towards safety when the way seems blocked. Let the global community be moved by a deep empathy that translates into real protection for the displaced and the weary. As the sun rises and sets over our shared home, let it be a reminder that we are never truly alone in our quest for a secure and flourishing life. We seal this intention with a commitment to be the very protection we seek for others, offering a kind word, a helping hand, and a steadfast spirit to everyone we meet. May the world find its balance, may the families find their peace, and may every soul find the protection it needs to thrive in this beautiful and complex journey of existence. We acknowledge the weight of the world's current movements and the intensity of the winds that blow across the continents. Yet we remain steadfast in our belief that a higher power of protection is active and present. Let the spirit of safety inhabit the hallways of hospitals and the corridors of schools, ensuring that those who heal and those who learn are surrounded by an impenetrable wall of grace. We ask for the preservation of our natural wonders, that the forests remain lush and the air remain pure for the generations yet to come. For every soul feeling the pressure of isolation, let a wave of belonging wash over them, reminding them that their presence is essential to the tapestry of humanity. We call for the protection of the dreamers who envision a world without conflict, that their voices may grow louder and their influence may reach the hearts of those in power. Let the resources of the earth be used with wisdom and compassion, so that no family goes hungry and no child is left without a safe place to sleep. We pray for the guardians of our safety, the men and women who stand on the front lines of every crisis, that they be granted clarity of mind and swiftness of action. May the energy of the universe align to provide a buffer against the unforeseen, creating a perimeter of light around every living being. We ask that the stories of old, which speak of survival and triumph over darkness, become the living reality for everyone facing hardship today. Let the music of the spheres be a lullaby for the restless and a battle cry for the weary, urging us all toward a state of complete and total security. We envision a world where the borders are defined by friendship rather than fear, and where the safety of one is recognized as the safety of all. May the rain that falls be a cleansing force, washing away the remnants of past struggles and preparing the ground for a new era of stability. We ask for the protection of our memories and our traditions, that the roots of our families remain deep and nourished even when the branches are shaken by the winds of change. Let the light of the stars be a guide for those lost in the dark, and let the warmth of the sun be a reminder of the infinite love that surrounds us. We pray for the protection of the mind, that it remains clear of confusion and open to the truth of our interconnectedness. For every person who feels like they are walking through a valley of shadows, let them see the light at the end of the path and feel the hand of protection guiding their every step. We ask for a cessation of all that causes harm and a blossoming of all that brings comfort. Let the spirit of protection be as common as the air we breathe, felt by all and denied to none. We stand in the gap for those who cannot speak for themselves, asking for a double portion of safety to be poured out upon them. May the coming days be marked by a noticeable shift toward peace, where the news of the world is filled with stories of rescue, recovery, and restored hope. We hold this vision for the world with an unwavering heart, knowing that the power of collective intention is a force that can move mountains and calm the seas. Let this prayer be a living thing, expanding with every breath and reaching into the deepest parts of our shared human experience. We ask for the protection of the innocent, the preservation of the beautiful, and the elevation of the kind. May the world be a garden of safety where every family can grow and flourish without the threat of harm. We speak these words into the atmosphere, trusting that they will find their way to where they are needed most, bringing comfort to the grieving and strength to the struggling. Let the peace that we seek be the peace that we find, and let the protection we ask for be the reality we live in every single day. We continue to hold space for the families in every nation, recognizing that the bonds of love are the strongest protection we have. Let the spirit of resilience be ignited in every household, allowing people to face the unknown with a sense of calm and a spirit of cooperation. We ask for the protection of our climate and our ecosystems, understanding that the health of the planet is directly tied to the safety of our families. Let the leaders of the world be inspired by a vision of global security that includes everyone, regardless of where they live or what language they speak. We pray for the protection of the digital world as well, that information may be a tool for good, and that our connections across the screen may be as meaningful as our connections in person. May the silence of the night be a time of true rest, where the mind can let go of its burdens and the body can heal under the watchful eye of a benevolent universe. We ask for the protection of our dreams, that they may be filled with images of a world at rest and a humanity at peace. Let the morning light bring a sense of renewal, as if the world has been reborn in safety and grace. We stand as witnesses to the strength of the human spirit, and we call upon that strength to be our shield. May the walls of our homes be strong, but the doors be open to those in need. We ask for a hedge of protection around our food supplies and our water sources, ensuring that the basic needs of every family are met with abundance. Let the spirit of generosity replace the spirit of greed, creating a world where safety is not a luxury for the few but a right for the all. We pray for the protection of the arts and the sciences, that our creativity and our knowledge may always be used to uplift and protect life. May the echoes of this prayer reach the highest heavens and the deepest oceans, signaling a time of profound safety for all living things. We are united in this quest, and we will not falter in our belief that a world of total protection is possible. Let every step we take be a step towards safety, and every word we speak be a word of peace. We ask for the protection of our souls, that they may remain pure and full of light even in the face of the greatest challenges. May the world be wrapped in a blanket of security that no force can tear away, and may we all find our way back to the heart of peace. We hold this intention for 10,000 years and beyond, weaving a legacy of protection into the very fabric of time. Let it be so, for the good of all families and the glory of the world we share. We extend our thoughts to the animals of the earth and the creatures of the sea, asking that their habitats be preserved and their lives be protected from the encroachment of chaos. Let the harmony of nature be a mirror for the harmony we seek in our own lives, reminding us that we are all part of one great living system that deserves to be safe and sound. We ask for the protection of the atmosphere, that it may shield us from the harshness of space while providing the gentle conditions necessary for life to thrive. Let the winds carry messages of hope rather than warnings of destruction, and let the rain be a gentle blessing rather than a torrential threat. We pray for the protection of the underground, where the foundations of our world reside, that the earth may be stable and the tremors of the past may remain silent. May the energy of the world be redirected from conflict toward construction, from fear toward flourishing, and from isolation toward integration. We ask for the protection of the light, that it may never be extinguished in the hearts of those who work for a better future. Let the spirit of protection be a constant companion for the lonely and a steady guide for the confused. We envision a world where every sunrise is a celebration of safety, and every sunset is a gratitude for a day lived without harm. May the protection of the universe be as vast as the stars and as intimate as a heartbeat, touching every life and every situation with a grace that transforms and heals. We hold this prayer as a sacred duty, a commitment to the safety of all, and a testament to the power of human compassion. Let the world be made new in the image of peace, and let every family be the primary beneficiary of this global transformation. We are one, we are safe, and we are protected forevermore. We pray for the protection of the underground, where the foundations of our world reside, that the earth may be stable and the tremors of the past may remain silent. May the energy of the world be redirected from conflict toward construction, from fear toward flourishing, and from isolation toward integration. We ask for the protection of the light, that it may never be extinguished in the hearts of those who work for a better future. Let the spirit of protection be a constant companion for the lonely and a steady guide for the confused. We envision a world where every sunrise is a celebration of safety, and every sunset is a gratitude for a day lived without harm. May the protection of the universe be as vast as the stars and as intimate as a heartbeat, touching every life and every situation with a grace that transforms and heals. We hold this prayer as a sacred duty, a commitment to the safety of all, and a testament to the power of human compassion. Let the world be made new in the image of peace, and let every family be the primary beneficiary of this global transformation. We are one, we are safe, and we are protected forevermore.